Right, what I've done, guys, I've put up one of the PowerPoints for revision questions, which covers some of the parts of Module 1, Part 1 of Module 15. Okay, we'll run through some of those questions, and then I'll do reverse again with the book. We'll go back from where we finished off at the end of the book and go back away, make sure we'll be sort of happy-ish with some of the content, and we'll just ask questions for pretty much the end. So we might finish slightly sharper today, but that's not a biggie. There's no point in starting book 2 really until tomorrow, because it does get a bit heavier as we go on. So we'll probably leave today as a nice, easiest day to sort of finish on. So we've got about, I think it's about 40 odd questions, remember right, on this PowerPoint. So we'll go through, and they're open questions. We don't have A, B, or C on these ones, but we'll go through the room, we'll put the question up, and we'll chat about it as we go through the answer, make sure everybody is happy. And I think, wait, sneeze. Oh, excuse me. Oh, I hate that when you don't sneeze. Ah, right, try again. Okay, let's see. Let's get that one there. Get out of the way. Move. Right, okay. Question one. Let's see who's feeling for it. The 3 stages of the pressure volume cycle are concerned with. So what's the 3 stages of a pressure volume cycle? Now, think of the 4-stroke cycle, but we've sort of put them together. I might change the wording in this question. But the 3 main stages of a pressure volume cycle of a jet engine. What would you think would be involved there? Sort of, yeah, you're not far off. Inlet compression, that's one. Combustion and turbine exhaust. Okay, so we've classed as inlet compression is 1, combustion is the next one, and then the turbine exhaust has been the final of those 3. So that would be inlet compression, induction compression, power, and exhaust. But with reference to jet engine, inlet compression is 1, combustion is another, and the turbine stroke exhaust system as the final. So that would be the 3 of those. 2, the pressure volume cycle measures which properties of gas flow? And this is the hardest thing, not seeing the answers. So the pressure volume cycle, also remember the PV diagram, remember that one? Sometimes the clue is in the question. Pressure volume cycle measures which properties of the gas flow. It's easier than you think.
Where's the pressure versus volume?
Yeah, pressure volume. That's it. Yeah, pressure against volume. So your PV diagram, pressure against volume. So that's basically what a pressure volume 1 is. Okay. The definition, which we've just done this, definition of an adiabatic process is what?
Where there is no heat loss.
Yeah, there's no heat
loss or heat gain.
Yeah, so it's a theoretical one. So one where no heat is lost through expansion or gained as well, depending on the answers. Remember, the question exam, there will be A, B, or C. So if you can come up with an answer in your head now before you've seen the answers, then hopefully when it comes to do the actual exam, you should be, oh, great. So we come to do the exam, read the question, read it again, think of an answer, and then look at the answers and see which ones match, hopefully. Good. Net thrust can be defined as, so we just did that before break. What was net? What, gross thrust and net thrust?
Gross thrust minus momentum drag.
Yeah, good. Gross thrust minus momentum drag. Nice and straightforward. Again, in ABC examples, they might give you gross thrust plus momentum drag, or they might say momentum drag, you know, it'll be some sort of random thing. So just be careful. You know the words, make sure you read the answers. In a gas turbine engine, where do we feel thrust in a gas turbine engine?
Thrust is felt as exhaust.
That's one of them, yeah. Where else?
Engine component.
Possibly components, yeah. Where else?
$75.
Don't worry, keep it simple. Don't worry about percentages. Just think in general. Where would you feel thrust in an engine? Is it forwards, backwards, sideways?
Forward.
Yeah, forwards as well, yeah. In other words, in all rotating and static components. NGVs will feel thrust. Yeah, you've got the force of the velocity going through them. We get the back pressure coming forward. We get when the engine comes choked and that sort of thing. So we can actually feel thrust in small amounts in certain parts, and large amounts in other parts, in all static and rotating components. Okay.
Okay.
So every part of the engine. But yeah, the main thrust itself comes out the back, but we can feel thrust going radially, axially, forwards, backwards, and all static and rotating components. Right, easy one. When gas flows through a conversion duct, what happens to velocity, pressure, and temperature?
Velocity increases
Yeah,
and temperature and pressure decreases.
good. Yeah, pressure and temperature drops. Good. Momentum thrust in a gas turbine engine can be considered to be a measure of what? So what is momentum thrust?
Is momentum of air passing into an engine.
Yeah, thereabouts, yeah. In this case, it's the outlet gas velocity. So it's the movement of air, you're correct, it's the movement of air going in. It's a comparison of the outlet gas against the inlet gas. Yeah, so that's where we get comparison. So again, they might give you comparisons of inlet gas velocity or something random. Okay, so the gas going out against the gas coming in. If there's no gas coming out, then there's no movement. Yeah, so momentum must be movement. So it's the gas flow through an engine, quite right. And they've worded it here as the outlet gas against inlet gas velocity. A twin spool axial flow engine, where would P2 be in a twin spool? So think of your annotations. If you want to draw a basic engine, yeah, there you go.
LP compressor.
Which part?
Low pressure compressor.
Yeah, which part of it?
Outlet.
Ah, good. LP compressor outlet, good man. Yeah, a twin spool, the back of the LP compressor, and then P3 would be the HP. Okay, in a twin spool axial flow engine, where would you find T4?
Combustor outlet.
Yeah, good. Combustion outlet. Combustion chamber outlet temperature. Good. A triple spool turbofan engine, the rearmost rotating component is the
Low pressure turbine.
always the low pressure turbine. Good. LP turbine. 11. A nozzle is said to be choked when the exhaust gas velocity becomes
High.
Very high.
yeah, another name for high. Think a little blue hedgehog in a type of game.
No further increase.
What was the name of the speed of the gas?
Sonic.
Sonic, yeah. Have you heard? Yeah, have you heard of Sonic the Hedgehog? In the games, Nintendo. It's just my way of remembering it. Sonic. Okay, little analogy there. Sonic in relation to exhaust gas temperature. Yeah, so in other words, the speed of sound. If it goes faster than that, what would happen is going too fast, you get too much back pressure, and also you'll get what's called, just for your information, what's called jet pipe buzz. We get a little hum coming out of exhaust. When I used to work on engine test bed, we actually set the engine up to do that, and then we tweak the engine back so we would not get as far as that. So when we gave the engine to the aircraft, it was ready to go for them. So yeah, nozzle's choked when the gas velocity becomes sonic. Okay. In a variable geometry intake, The dump valve opens when? Now, what is a variable geometry intake also known as? That helps you. Another name for a variable geometry intake.
Supersonic or something.
Yeah, supersonic intake. So the dump valve, we've got the wedge that moves up and down. We've also got the dump valve. So when's the dump valve going to open? Depends on the options to give you the answers right enough.
It will open
When excess airflow.
when is lowered.
Not the other thing, but the wedge now. The dump valve will open, I'll put it up there, high supersonic speeds to dump the excess amount of air. So when there's too much air, it does what it says, it dumps. It dumps the dump valve will be open. Depending on the type, it could be facing backwards when it's high supersonic, so it dumps the excess air at the back. Or it can also open when it's low speed, so it can scoop some air in as well, depending on the type of intake it is. But out of the answers, hopefully that would be the one you would see then. Dumps the excess amount of air, stops choking of the compressor. A pitot type intake is efficient at sonic and supersonic speeds. True or false? Now you'll never get a true or false question in an exam, as nice as that would be. But so read the question, just a bit of fun. A pitot type intake is efficient at sonic and supersonic speeds. True or
False.
false? False.
False, yeah.
Yeah, you're correct. It's only subsonic speeds. So
Subsonic, yeah.
yeah. It can do transonic, which is transitioning speed, but anything above that, the aircraft's going too fast. It's probably going to die with a crash. It's not so good. The ram effect can be described as, what is ram effect?
The forward aircraft speed.
Yeah, so catching the air, and the faster the aircraft's going, the more air is getting scooped up, rammed into the intake. So in other words, the pressure increase due to forward speed and intake shape. Okay, so the faster the aircraft's going, the more ram air is putting in there. If we get more ram air in there, we're going to add more fuel as well. And we'll look at that as we cover the fuel system later on. Good. 15. Gas turbine engine intake de-icing may be achieved by what?
Electric and air.
Yeah, you could have a mixture of both, yeah. Normally hot air, but allowing small accumulations of ice, removing them using electrical heating elements. So yeah, we can use de-icing elements on gas turbines. Although gas turbines tend to use the hot air, we can have electrical heating elements on the intake. And be very careful, if you're testing those on the ground, they do get very hot. And again, if you're switching any anti-icing or de-icing system on, make sure the covers are off. It's quite embarrassing when you have a blank cover and it cooks itself to a pitot probe or something like that. It sticks. It's a bit of a pain to get off. And it does happen. It does happen. A pitot type intake will incorporate which design feature? So think of shape. What sort of shape will it have?
Subsonic intake.
Yeah, so what sort of shape is it going to be?
Oval.
Yeah, so think about from forward to the compressor, what shape's it making?
Is convergent.
There is a little bit of convergence. Overall, though, you're quite right, there's a little tiny bit of convergence at the front, but most of it is...
Slightly divergent.
Yeah, mostly divergent from the tip to the compressor. So a convergent duct followed by a divergent duct to increase ram effect. So a small amount of convergent, but most of it is divergent as it goes towards the front of the compressor. Okay. Some gas turbines have a rubber cap fitted to the nose cone, and its purpose is to do what?
To circulate the air.
No. Remember the little pointy rubber cap on the nose cone? Slightly off centre. Very simple. Yeah,
Create vibration.
It does vibrate, so what's it going to prevent? If it's vibrating, what's it going to prevent forming up in a cold type environment?
Ice accumulation.
Yeah, dead simple. A little rubber tip to the cone, a little vibration stops any ice formation up. Yeah, so tiny vibration prevents ice accumulation. Good. 18. What shape is formed between the adjacent vanes of a centrifugal impeller? So picture centrifugal impeller, picture the vanes, what shape does it make?
Divergent.
Yeah, it has to be, it's a compressor. All compressors are going to be divergent, yes, but it's centrifugal or axial flow. Divergent to generate pressure from the radial airflow velocity. 19. Compressor bypass ratio can be described as it's the ratio of something. So what's the ratio comparing to?
Air
Going
going outside of the core engine.
Yeah. Yeah, so the cold stream and the hot stream, yeah. So the ratio of the cold stream air, which is driven main thrust from the big fan, to the hot stream, which is your core air, yeah. So the bigger the ratio, that means there's more cold air than hot air. Now, low bypass is about 1.1, 1 to 1, sorry, maybe 2 to 1. But the high bypass is 5 to 1, 6 to 1 now, even sometimes 10 to 1 now. So large amounts of cold air, I should say. 20. What is the approximate pressure rise for a single stage of a natural flow compressor?
1.1 to 1.2 is to 1.
Yeah, that's quite right. Yeah, 1.1 to 1.2 to 1. I've just put 1.2 there. Okay, good. 1.1 to 1.2 to 1. One set of rotor blades followed by one set of stator blades in an axial flow compressor is known as a
Spool.
no.
Compressor section.
Not quite.
Stage, sir, stage.
Yes, good man. Who said that? Who was that? You sounded like miles away. Well, you are miles away. Yeah, stage. Good. A compressor stage. So one set of rotors followed by one set of stators is a stage. And likewise in a turbine, a set of NGVs and a set of turbine rotors, that's also a turbine stage in effect. Okay. 2. Advantages of an axial flow compressor over a centrifugal compressor include what? So what's some of the advantages of an axial flow compressor? There's quite a few, but we'll put a few up in there. So what we're thinking?
To make engine more efficient.
More efficient, yeah.
Lower frontal area.
Good, yeah, low frontal area. Anything else? Got 2, that's good. We've got higher overall pressure rise, generally, although the centrifugal one does make a high pressure rise initially, but that's it. That's it done. Small frontal area, yeah, I mentioned that, and lower rotational speed. We can use smaller spools to rotate first and then to get the rest of the engine, where a centrifugal compressor is quite a big, chunky beast of a thing. Okay, so it's going to take a lot of momentum to get going, so it can take a lot more strain, take a lot of time to get rotating. What is the purpose of the diffuser fitted to an axial flow compressor? Or centrifugal means it does the same thing.
Reduce velocity and rise pressure.
Yeah, just reduces it, slows it down a little bit before it goes to the combustion chamber, so it's not too fast. Otherwise, it would just blow through and we wouldn't get a chance to mix properly. So yeah, smooth out and increase the pressure of the air prior to entering the combustion intake. What are the 2 main symptoms? Well, there's a few things, there's 3 exactly, but what are the 2 main symptoms of a compressor stall?
Rise in temperature.
Yeah, rise in EGT, yeah.
And the sound.
Yeah, get a rumbling sound, yeah. What else could we get? There's other things, but yeah, it's quite a few.
vibration,
Vibration, and anybody remember the last one?
and a rapid rise in EGT.
Got that one yet? Failure to accelerate as well. But again, we've only got a few there. So increased EGT, and also on your RPM gauge, you might see that the needle sort of vibrating like that as well, fluctuating in conjunction with the spool vibrating as well. Okay, so definitely increasing EGT and maybe a fluctuating RPM gauge as well. What's the purpose of the bleed valve operation during engine startup? So remember what the bleed valve, the one we showed you was like a ring going round the side, or one was on the top, which looked like a cheese grater, but they both did the same thing. What was the purpose of a bleed valve?
Prevent stall and surge.
Yes, it can help. Yeah, you suppose you could say it can help prevent a stall of the compressor. Yeah. If it's bleed
And-
valve, yeah, go on. Sorry. Yeah, go on.
And bleed excess pressure toward the rear of the compressor.
Good. Yeah, it prevents the compressor choking. So we'll take a bleed of air before the back of the compressor, probably about midway of the compressor, because there's no point in bleeding it after the compressor because that's too late. So we'll take a tapping from the compressor, bleed it off at low speeds, and once the engine gets at high speeds, it can cope with the flow, the momentum of gas. So yeah, it relieves the excess air pressure from the rear of the compressor to reduce the risk of stall. Good. What's the main difference between wide chord and narrow chord fan blades?
The narrow chord has the clapper.
Yeah, that's the main one. Yeah, quite right.
Wide chord has shorter.
Yeah, wide chord fan blades don't require mid-span shrouds or snubbers or clappers, another name for them, due to the reduced length. Yeah, so the wide chord ones are short and wider. They're quite strong. They don't need the snubbers. Good. What's the purpose of the inlet guide vanes, or IGVs?
Direct the air to turbine.
Not the turbine.
Inlet
Too far
guide.
away. Yeah. Inlet guide vane. If it's inlet, it must be near the front.
Yeah, in front of combustion chamber, right?
Go before that.
Compressor.
Compressor, yeah. Inlet, so the air comes into the intake, and then it's the inlet guide vanes, your IGVs, your VSVs, so through the compressor. So yeah, it guides the airflow at the correct angle onto the rotor of the compressor. So direct airflow in the first stage of the compressor rotor at the correct angle of attack. So anything to do with inlet is the cold end, anything to do with NGVs or nozzle, that's at the hot end of the engine. The ratio of fuel to air for ideal combustion is
50:1 by weight.
yeah, 51 by weight. I've changed the question about, I've put fuel to air, so it'll be 1 to 15. They shouldn't do that in exam, but just in case, just make sure you know which way the numbers are, okay? It still means the same thing, 1 part fuel to 15 parts air by weight. Again, if I reworded the question to air to fuel, it'd be 15:1. Still the same way, still the same ratio. I've just flipped it about a bit. That's okay. It's always by weight. 29. The approximate percentage of total combustion system air used for cooling is
80%.
80%.
80%.
yeah, 80%. Good, 80%. Yeah, spent to primary, secondary, and tertiary. Yeah, good. Which of the following components are typically found in a combustion system? Now, if not put them down there, I want you to tell me. What would you find in a combustion system?
Nozzle, we find the burners.
Burners, yeah, you need a burner for fuel. What else would you need?
Chamber.
And
You need the chamber. And what else to make it go on fire?
Igniter block.
Yeah,
Ignited.
yeah. Burner and obviously whatever type of combustion chamber it is, of some sort of flame tube. Good. What is the purpose of dilution air in a combustion chamber, also known as tertiary air?
To ensure the flame is not distorted.
No, not quite. What does tertiary air? Remember, dilution is also called tertiary air. So what was the tertiary air do again?
Cut off the flame or reduce the gas.
Good. Yeah, cut off the flame and reduce the temperature. Good. Oh, somebody cooking? Name a type of combustion chamber. So you've got 4 to choose from.
That is multiple
chamber.
annular, and reverse.
Yeah, good. Pretty much there, yeah. Annular, multi-can, can-annular, or reverse flow. So multi-can, multi-chamber, and that sort of thing. Good. The combustion process creates what? What does the combustion process create? Apart from a big flame.
Create carbon.
Yeah, carbon. Yeah. Hydrocarbons, monoxide. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, carbon deposits that can be reduced by using bleed air in the fuel burners. By having that air going through the burners that we saw in the atomizers, that helps prevent carbon from building up, keeps them clean. That can be problems of engines starting as well. If too much carbon builds up on the burners, that can prevent a good flow of the fuel and possibly cause bad starting. So like I said before, you can change a burner, but remember to change it as a complete set where possible. You should always change the complete set. If you do take a burner that's dirty, don't clean it yourself, because you'll probably put some carbon back up into the tiny little holes. So you send them away to a specialist to get cleaned professionally. Because if you try and clean them, you can sometimes scratch the surface without even knowing it, and that can disrupt the spray pattern. Okay, a simplex burner is known as which type of burner? So simplex burner.
Atomizer something.
Yeah, atomizer. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Atomizer. Yeah, simplex. We've got lots of different types, and that's one of an atomizer type. The shape of an impulse reaction turbine, in your own words, is described as? So, impulse reaction turbine.
Happy face, cup shape.
Nope.
Impulse reaction is big Nike.
Yeah, big Nike, Usain Bolt. Nike tick. Yeah, Usain Bolt, Nike tick, that sort of thing. You won't see that in the answers, unfortunately. But initially a cup shape, yeah, followed by an aerofoil forming a convergent duct. Yeah, officially. Or a big Nike tick. What is the purpose of the nozzle guide vanes, or commonly known as NGVs?
Yeah, is accelerate the gas at the most efficient angle to the turbine blade.
Good, good, good. Yeah, accelerate gas flow and direct it onto rotors at the correct angle. They pretty much do the same job as an IGV, except they're in the hot end. In the hot end, they want to accelerate the gas. Yeah, but still direct them at the correct flow, correct angle, sorry, onto the rotors. What does the abbreviation ITT refer to?
Intermediate turbine temperature.
Intermediate turbine temperature.
Good, yeah, no problems there. Oh, something's called interstage, intermediate, interstage. It depends on where you work, but it means the same thing. ITT, good. Turbine blade tertiary creep is what? What is turbine blade tertiary creep?
Catastrophic failure.
Yeah, it is. You've got your primary, second, tertiary. Again, don't get confused with the airflow. but the primary being the initial stretching of the blade until it settles in. And then we've got the secondary phase where that's the normal working life of the blade for the normal part of the aircraft. And then tertiary, where the manufacturer determined that that is when it's going to shear. If it's done so many flying hours, it's going to shear at that point, or a good chance it's going to. So we don't tend to use it at that point. So the turbine will be taken out. So yeah, the final accelerated growth rate of a turbine blade prior to fracture. Again, back in our Air Force days, we offered concessions because the engine was due to come out maybe in about 50 hours. The turbine blade was maybe due then, thereabouts. So because the whole engine only had 50 hours on it, they put a concession in to fly the aircraft gently, in effect, rather than take the engine out and then do it. So they would just, you know, it depends. You might get a concession. It all depends how much life is left in that engine. Turbine blades with a fir tree fixing design will do what? I can't remember if I mentioned this. Well, I sort of did mention it, yeah. So what's the purpose of fir tree design? Why not just have one big slot? So we've got a fixture like a Christmas tree, but why not just have one slot to slot the turbine blade into the disc? Why do we make it look like a tree? What was the purpose of that? Anybody remember?
Accurate.
Less stress.
So if you can picture the fir tree design of the root of the blade, yeah, it's like a triangle shape. Why is it with little serrations on it? Why is it that shape? Why not just have one big wedge or one line to slot into a disc? Why do they design the bottom of the blade root to slot into the turbine disc that shape?
Distribute the load equally.
Perfect, yeah.
Yeah.
You're having that, the little bit will take a little bit of load, and it will stiffen into place because centrifugal force will try and bring the blade out of the disc, or centrifugally. So those little serrations spread the load nice and evenly, because, as I said before, like an example, a little 2-ounce blade, when it's getting spun fast enough, is almost getting about 2 tons of pressure there. So in other words, it will stiffen into place, centrifugal force at high RPMs. And I correctly said it will spread the load. Turbine blade cooling air is taken from the rear stages of the compressor because, I apologize, did I mention this? I think I did mention it. Why would we take cooling air from the rear of the compressor? Why not just take outside air to cool the turbine blades? If we put very cold air onto the turbine blades, which are about 1500 degrees, what could happen? Have you ever put something very cold against something very hot, like a glass? What something happens? Yeah, thermal shock. Okay, you'll induce thermal shock. So by taking cooler air, which is still quite hot, the back of the compressor, which is what, 500, 600 degrees, we use that as cooling air in the turbine, which is about 1500. It's already quite warm already, it's quite hot. So yes, it's a lot cooler than the turbine blades, but it will reduce the chance of thermal shock, okay? The high temperature air reduces the risk of turbine thermal shock, stops the blades from shattering. You know, if you get something too cold, too hot, too quick, it will crack. And same goes for turbine blades. All right. I can't remember, apologies if I mentioned that. I should have mentioned that one if I haven't done already. Okay, exhaust noise can be reduced by using what? A few different methods.
Using low RPM at takeoff.
Yeah, we don't need to have the engine at full power all the time. Yeah, low RPM. What else?
Insulating different type of material on engine.
Yeah, good.
And suppressed
Outlet.
Oh yeah. Injecting in, yeah. That's not bad. It's close enough. Insulating
Yes,
blankets.
rated is out the.
Yeah, we can also, using injectors, inject air in from the outside because you've got the fast-moving air going out the core engine, which is low pressure. So you've got the high pressure, atmospheric pressure, will then come in through the ducts around the exhaust. So we can induce the cold air in there as well. Insulating blankets I mentioned already, the honeycomb effect. Yeah, lots of few different bits and pieces. Good. And what's the purpose of the exhaust cone in an exhaust system? So what does the exhaust cone do?
Observe the acoustic energy.
Say again?
To observe the acoustic energy.
No, not quite. Give you a clue. What shape does it make against the the exhaust wall? So you get pointy
Divergent.
divergent, yeah. So it's divergent shape. It's going to make slow the gas down. That will reduce what?
Reduced
Velocity.
Yes, reduce the velocity. So it'll stop it getting energy losses sticking to the exhaust wall. Yeah. It can also protect the back of the turbine disc and a few bits and pieces as well. So really, it diffuses the gas flow from the turbine. It just slows it down initially. So yeah, okay, I've got you. Then the support struts can guide the airflow down to the propelling nozzle, and then the propelling nozzle, once it becomes choked, will turn into pressure thrust. Good. Prior to normal thrust reverser operation, what conditions must be met? So you're going to select thrust reverse. What should you ensure first? What would you want to make sure you're doing first before you select thrust reverse?
Wait on wheel.
Yeah, weight on wheels. Make sure you're on the ground first, yeah? You're on weight on wheels, so you're on the ground. What about position of the throttles?
Idle to reverse.
Yeah, idle to reverse, yeah. Now, some of the mechanisms are either a rollover, some of them are a rocking lever, some of them are through a beta range. Again, it all depends on type, but you must be idle, weight on wheel switch as well. So minimum RPM setting and your weight on wheel micro switch has engaged. Good. Name a type of thrust reverse system. So there's three of them.
Yeah, three main type: cascade and retractable and cold clamshell.
Yeah, good. Yeah, clamshell door, coasting reverser or buckets is a common name for retractable ejector. Yeah, good. Right, where are we? Oh, get back. What is the purpose of the cascade vanes in any thrust reverse system?
To eject the air.
Yeah, at what angle?
45.
Yeah, it just happens to be number 45 question as well. Okay. Direct the gas flow forward at the correct angle relative to airframe at 45 degrees. Good. There we go. That's taken us up to bang on, well, for me, 3 o'clock. So we'll go for another break, come back, and we'll do some more questions. We'll probably finish about 4 o'clock today. I'm not going to start book 2. It'll be nice to start book 2 nice and fresh tomorrow. So yeah, go for another break, gentlemen. Come back about 20 minutes and we'll continue with some more revision for book 1. Okay, see you in a bit.
All right.